Hey everyone, so we're actually going through another massive upgrade, but specifically around relationships. So we're actually going through a relationship template reset. And I'm going to break that down in today's video. I mean, it's really a continuity of this past month's theme that has really been about our own sense of self-identity. So that is also rippling out where we stand in terms of our life, where we stand in relation to our environment, in relation to the people in our life, in relation to our career, in relation to how we're showing up in our reality. And that is really rippling. But today I'm going to go a little bit deeper into how that is manifesting in our relationships and why we're actually going through a relationship reset. But before we begin, I want to invite you to my next vision quest that is literally going to be a massive upgrade for you. It's an understatement, but literally it's going to be a completely new experience for yourself, something that you have never experienced before, a completely big paradigm shift where you're going to embrace yourself on a completely new level, a deeper connection with yourself, with the earth, with nature, and with spirit. So check that out. Last month has been crazy intense, right? From experiencing like a vibe or a tone of a dark night of the soul, a massive collapse, right? A massive collapse. And when those collapses happen, everything comes into the center of our energy field, of our reality, and gets transformed, gets re-looked at, so we kind of take it and look at it from different angles. Really, that is what is being called of us to do, whether we are aware that we're doing it consciously or unconsciously. So we're kind of navigating the energy and like riding it and being like, okay, I'm going to revisit all the relationships that I have. And I would say that like relationship has been a big theme of this last year, 2024. And it makes sense now that as we're entering this new calendar year, although I don't fully believe in the calendar year, but it's a collective theme, right, that we're part of. So it's kind of a container that we've been put in. As we're getting into that, it makes sense that now we're kind of in that last press of like before entering the new year of revisitation, right? Revisiting everything that we've been through, but in terms of our relationship. And the themes that are coming up really are boundaries. Boundaries, not in a sense of like, this hardcore boundaries, because it's kind of also cliche in this, in this path that we hear, like boundaries, but then people kind of abuse it and like they kind of think that they're setting boundary, but actually they're really being assholes. You know what I mean in that sense. So it's really about boundaries in terms of ourselves. And the biggest word that I want to use here is healthy boundaries. That is really what it's about. And the boundaries that I'm talking about could not necessarily be a physical, action-oriented boundary. It could be where you're noticing that, okay, there's something I need to do here, where I need to like step out of this relationship I'm in, say no to this family member, cut it off with this person, whatever it is. But I feel that it's actually also an energetic boundary where you're able to finally start noticing patterns that have been repetitive, things that you have allowed in your past that have now you've known that they've actually triggered you in some way, or you've known that they've impacted you on some level, maybe your mental state, your emotional state. But now it's like a deeper layer of inner work, where you're noticing what you have allowed, why you have allowed that before, and what is being called of you right now to really set a boundary, an energetic boundary. And what I mean by energetic boundary, again, is that it's an internal decision that you are coming and doing with yourself. If it needs an external action with it, if it needs, an external step, So like a physical manifestation of that energetic boundary, and there's a bee right here, that's completely perfect and fine, right? But it starts with you. It starts with you noticing that it could also be an energetic boundary that you're setting within yourself. Now, this is really intertwined and connected to the whole themes of the latest energy updates that I've done, which are about your sense of self-identity. Because boundaries are here first and foremost to linked to your own sense of self-worth, linked to your own sense of self-identity. Now, if your own sense of self-identity is being reborn, which has been the theme of this year, but let's say this last month, it makes sense that it's going to come with it this sort of like shedding, letting go of specific things in your life that are no longer serving. And as I'm saying things, because it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're letting go of people. It could be that you're letting go, one, of a pattern that is playing out with several people or in several situations in your life, right? So you're no longer wanting to play that dynamic with your outside environment. Or it could be that you're letting go of a specific toxicity. And that's another thing, because as we are collapsing, as we're going through this massive paradigm collapse, this massive timeline collapse, because again, a timeline is linked to patterns, and I've done videos about that I would tag, but timelines are linked to patterns. They're linked to realities and paradigms that you sit in. So you've been in that dynamic, you've been in that energetic dance, in that specific setting, and that collapsed because it's an ego death. You're realizing, okay, this is no longer serving me. You're stepping into a new one. But usually what happens there is that what is really shattering is the things that are no longer serving you, right? But it's the unconscious toxic patterns, unhealthy patterns that you've had with yourself, and that were not conscious. So you were kind of allowing. Why? Because your sense of self-worth, for example, you have not been upgraded. It was not in match with your own present reality. Okay, I'm going to explain a little bit deeper what I mean by that. So as you've gone through your journey, your path, there's definitely been resets and shifts in your life on so many levels. And your past reality, there are specific dimensions of your being or of your experience that did not necessarily catch up on your present reality. A big one is, for example, the body. What happens sometimes with awakening, there's two paths for people, right? It could be immediately a body awakening because they've gone through, a massive illness or a health issue. So that health issue just opened them up that, wait a second, like I'm really sick, I'm losing my health. And from that, it just allowed them to start questioning and opening up to the spirit world, okay? But sometimes also, at least like that was my case, it was the other way around, okay? Where it was a spiritual awakening that was a blowing away of like an expansion of consciousness, but my body was not catching up with my awareness. It was not catching up with my spiritual essence, my spiritual awareness, and all of that. So that is an example of where, for example, your present reality is not fully in synergy, in harmony with something from your past. So there's something from your past that still did not catch up on your reality right now. And I feel like as I'm saying this, it's not like it's a race or it's something that it's never going to be perfect. So there will always be on some level something from the past that has been hiding, like let's say a shadow, that's all of a sudden coming to the forefront of our reality to be analyzed. But it's also layers, because let's go into that sense of self-worth. And why I'm taking this, I'm going to connect it to relationship. Because relationships bring that out. It's not like, the idea that it's always a mirror, And I speak about this as well because it could amplify your own, especially if you're a sensitive person that absorb everything around you and you're like, oh, everything is my mirror. And it's like, no. For you, and I'm doing a video about this actually, you want actually to know, again, back to boundary, who you are in relation to the other person. And know that not everything that you're reflecting back, because you're an absorber, and you're an absorber, you're super sensitive, that what you're reflecting back is you. Actually that's where the work is. It's for you to detach from what is the other person in you. So not everything is a mirror for you in that sense. Relationships come to show you what you are allowing, what you are saying yes to your world, what is healthy and unhealthy, where your traumas actually sit, where your pockets, I call them pockets in your energy field, are weaving, like threads. They're weaving and dancing with the threads and with the pockets of the other person. Where are they plugging into? And that's what usually the triggers are. So the sense of boundary is going to come in with your own new sense of self-identity, because the older sense of identity that you had was perhaps a people pleaser, was the one that was really caring about what other people say. And if you're a way shower and you're listening to this, now you might have claimed it, you might not have claimed it. But what I mean by a way shower is that you're here to lead by example. You're here to be the new way, right? The conscious way, the healthy way. And as of that, if you hold that archetype of the way shower, is that the very first thing as a foundational pillar is transparency and being fully yourself. Not holding any sort of facade, because that is the old paradigm. The old paradigm is all based on facades because the ego wants to gain something from it, whether we're conscious of it or not. Even in the most dangerous ones are within the spiritual frame, the spiritual identities that we take on. It's really a journey, but that is when that collapse is happening and you're realizing that your sense of identity was codependent on the outside. It was codependent because it wanted to receive love, admiration, affirmation, validation. But it was doing it from the wrong place because it was micromanaging. It was holding all of this together, holding the facade, holding all of it together in order to receive something, desperately receiving something from your outside. And it's exhausting, and that has collapsed. So as you shed that, the new sense of identity is emerging and is reborn and is coming from your true core, right? From inside. And that needs to be protected. And what I mean by protected is not like shielded from the outside because, people are out there to get it. Not like that, not in separation. It's to be protected in the sense where it's such a natural thing. It's like this I've got to think of a motherly thing, but it's literally that natural thing, instinctual thing to do, because a new you is emerging. So think of it as a baby or a seed that just is coming out, and it needs some sort of holding, right? When let's say a seed of a plant or something, and you cannot it depends on its environment. You can't just throw it in anywhere, right? There's the resilience there, but you want to keep an eye on it. And that's what's happening here, is that with it, you're starting to see what is the new boundary that you're putting with yourself and the other people. And they're linked to your self-worth because you're shedding those patterns and those unconscious layers that were playing those dynamics, those toxic dynamics with yourself and the other people. Toxic dynamics of self-criticism, of self-hate, of shame, of guilt, of people-pleasing, of you're not good enough, of there's something wrong with you, right? And all of this is being shed. And now the new one is coming in and you're able to see those patterns. So when somebody in your reality is not respecting you, someone in your reality is not honoring you as a being, know their own impact or the impact their actions and their words have on you. Okay? That is where you're understanding that it really comes with respect. The places where you are shrinking to avoid conflict, where you're shrinking or playing small because you're scared of speaking your truth, of being who you are, allowing the other person to take more space because you just don't know what it means to fully claim your space. All these are coming to the surface. And that is where the triggers are. Definitely, the trigger is what is triggering in you? Is it triggering in you the fact that you're playing further small? Is it triggering in you the fact that you feel disempowered when you're in that interaction. And that's where it comes in even deeper, right? The dance of like the narcissistic and empathic relationship. And again, that's like something that there's just so much out there on that theme. And I don't resonate with most of the things that are out there, because some of them are like linked to a story and just amplifies the victim consciousness. That's one angle, the story and narrative that I see on the outside. And then just people get hooked on that, like, oh, I'm the empath, he's the narcissist, oh my God. And then the other one where it's like, oh, the narcissist is your mirror because you have narcissistic tendencies within you. And that is, oh my God, so toxic in itself, because in those moments you're not able to, again, you're going into the trap of like everything is a mirror, and the other person is just completely destroying your personality, completely destroying your sense of self-identity, completely toxic dynamic, and they're not willing to change, and you're just taking it in because already in a narcissistic dynamic, a relationship, narcissistic relationship, whatever it is, you're already dismissed, and you're already taking in like the abuse itself is that it's all you and there's something wrong with you. So imagine like adding to that the spiritual concept, like everyone's a mirror, and you just stay in it, and all you're doing is just chopping things out of you and just draining everything that you have. That's not it. And I might do a video another time about that dynamic and that dance and what I really think about it. But I feel from my experience and how I translate it, it's none of this. It's neither this or that, or you can see it's a little bit of both. But it's not that. It's not staying in the victim reality. It's actually taking ownership of what parts of you have allowed that dynamic. And then if it's in the other one, is actually, can it be an invitation for change to happen in the relationship? Is the person that has, because being actually I'm going to leave it to another time, because there's a lot of energetic things there where also entities are involved, a lot of walls and layers, very deep facade and persona that's matched there for really like narcissistic personality disorder, like people that are not like the trend always just like really people that have that. There's so much weave there, even energetically. But at the end of the day, there has to be a willingness to change. There has to be a willingness to do the inner work and to become a better human being. Now is the time for you, as you're building that new sense of identity and your world is collapsing on the outside, to see what you are saying no to as patterns and dynamics. Because now you have reclaimed, you have understood that there was an unconscious pattern within you that is the lack of confidence, the lack of self-worth, the shame, there's something wrong with you, that was allowing all these different things, that was allowing your boundaries to be stepped on. Even as I'm saying energetically. And now, really what I want to say is that boundary setting is not a force. It's not a like, that's what I was saying in the beginning, it's like, it's kind of a toxic boundary. It's like, no, and oh my God, and I'm done. But it's like in a way where like, you're self-centered, you know, and it's like a toxic way because it's a control mechanism. Not that way, we're just like, no. It's really like where the softness and vulnerability, because your walls are cracking. As I said, you're in a seed phase. You're very naked. So you're realizing that that suffering and that literally that self-sacrifice, that tormenting yourself. I know these are strong words, but you can imagine, you know what it is to actually really put yourself down and allow other people's words and actions define you and put you down. That is literally inflicting pain on yourself. Truly, it is. As much as it's hard words, it's hard. It's a really harsh reality to be in. You feel the pain. You feel the suffering. It's not a joke. And it takes such a toll on you. And so you've got to that point where you've cracked that. Like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so it really comes with a natural way. But it's when it's matured. So let's say you're seeing that dynamic playing out and that lack of respect and that lack of honor. Coming back to you, feel the pain of taking it all in, being so personal about it, because it is, and you're sensitive. So every little word, every little action feels like a slap, you know? Feels like somebody putting salt on a wound, 100%. But take that in and see where the dependency is. See why you're allowing it. What is the reason? Is it money? Is it love? Is it communion? Belonging? Figure that out. And then allow yourself, find that space. Not in a way also that is cliche where, just affirm that you love yourself. Oh yeah. That is all superficial, guys. That is all superficial. And you're listening to this, if it worked for you, great. You know, like, that's not what I'm saying. But it's not like this. It's truly a deep holding, an acceptance, a mastery, an expansion, an intimacy with yourself. It's not something you can affirm with your own mind. It's maybe taking so many hits that you're just literally on the ground. If you're listening to this, feeling like this in any sort of relationship or anything you're going through, you're collapsed, you're crumbled. And then that little strength that you find when you're so raw and naked and you've just, everything's just dying. And you hold yourself there. You're present with yourself. You feel that little, wow, look where I'm at. Wow, look what I'm feeling. Wow, I am worthy of so much more. And so it's very intense state right now where your own sense of identity is going to be fully built on you. Your own reflection, your own determination of who you are, and no longer defined by the outside. That is insane upgrade we're going through. And maybe we've gone through so many layers before. Yes, and more is to come. That might not just be it. But this is one template, because with templates it's like, hard coding. So we decoded, right? We deleted some sort of old code, but then there's the new code that is emerging. That's similar to the quantum energy work we do, right? So we delete in the field, we bring a new code, and then the hard coding is on you. Because a lot of people expect that they're just, sometimes come to the energy work, they're like, woo, yeah, yay, one day I'm gone. No. So this is the integration. We did the activation in the field, in the energy field, like what these energies are doing to us. But then the hard coding is on us. This is the work we have to do. The heart work, the love work. So let me know in the comments below what you're navigating. How did that video relate to your experience? Let me know. And if you feel like, anybody's coming to you that you want to share with, whether just their name just popped up into your field right now, or intuitively you feel guided, or you feel, that somebody is struggling, share it with them as well. Maybe it might benefit. They might benefit from it. And I send you so much love. You got this.